Hey everybody, David here. This is a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition races overview, and this races overview tutorial deals with the race the Dwarf. Now, the race is one of your traditional D&D races, been around since basic Dungeons & Dragons. Now, the Dwarf, there's a lot of good information starting on page 18 of the Player's Handbook. I'm not going to go over that information with you. I am just going to go over the bonuses, what the Dwarf gets. But there's a lot of good information to read. Like I said, on page 18, talks about the different clans, how they unite, talks about the long grudges that they have with some of the other races in the Forgotten Realms, and also just in D&D in general. There's also different gods that they would worship, depending on warlock or if they're into treasure and whatnot. And that's pretty much it for information. Now, there's also a nice dwarf name sort of list on what you would use for names for, male, female, and then also clan names. Now, there is the base dwarf. You're going to get, as a base dwarf, you're going to get ability score increase of a constitution score by 2. So, whatever you start with your con, add another 2, and this is for baseline dwarf. The age, dwarves mature at the same rate as humans, but they're considered young until they reach the tender age of 50, and then on average they live to be about 350 years old, which is quite a few years longer than what a human would live. But, like it says, they still mature at the same rate of humans. They just outlive them by about 7 to 10-fold. Alright, so the alignment. Most dwarves are usually lawful, believing firmly in the benefits of a well-ordered society. They tend toward good as well, with a strong sense of fair play and a belief that everyone deserves to share in the benefits of a just order, which is great. It's all about their clans. But it's D&D 5e. You have the freedom to do whatever you want. So if you want an evil alignment dwarf, if you want a death domain cleric, or if you want an oathbreaker paladin from the Dungeon Master's Guide, by all means, go with a more evil alignment that, you're not pigeonholed into saying you have to play a lawful dwarf. So there's, you have the freedom to play whatever you want. Now, for the size, the dwarf is between 4 to 5 feet tall. I'm sure if you wanted to go a little bit taller, your DM would probably allow you, and an average of 150 pounds. And the size is medium. So you'll basically, on a battle grid, you'll take up 1 5-foot square. Now, the speed for the dwarf is a little bit slower than the other races. You'll have a walking speed of 25 feet, and another bonus for being a dwarf is your speed will not be reduced by wearing heavy armor. Pretty straightforward. Now, you're going to get also dark vision as being a dwarf, and this is accustomed to the life underground. You have superior vision in dark and dim conditions. Now, a lot of people get dark vision confused. You can see dim light within 60 feet of you as if it were bright light, and in pure darkness, you'll see if it was dim light. So that's how dark vision works in 5th edition. If it's dim light, you would see it as normal, bright light, no hindrances. Totally dark, your dark vision allows you to see that total darkness as dim light. 60 feet. But take into consideration, it's only in shades of gray, it's not full color. Now, you also get baseline dwarf traits, Dwarven Resilience, which this is really nice. This is where you have advantage on saving throws against poison. Advantage in D&D 5e, you roll twice, take the best roll. And as another thing with Dwarven Resilience, you get resistance against poison damage, meaning in D&D 5e, resistance means you take half damage. Dwarven Resilience, really strong against poison. You're also going to get Dwarven Combat Training, as you can see, which Dwarven Combat Training gives you proficiency with the Battle Axe, Hand Axe, Throwing Hammer, and Warhammer. So if you're playing a mage, you're still going to be proficient in all those dwarvish type of weapons. Usually classes do not start with tool proficiencies, but if you choose the race, you get 3. It's what you get to choose proficiency with the artisan tools of your choice. Smith's tools, brewer's supplies, or mason tools. There you go. Really nice. Stone cunning, also a very nice baseline feature for the dwarf. Whenever you make an intelligence history check related to the origin of stonework, you'll be considered proficient in the history skill, and you will add double your proficiency bonus to the check instead of the normal proficiency bonus. So if you're proficient in history, then if you have a +2, whenever you do a stone cunning type of check, then you'll double it and add a +4 instead of +2. Languages, the dwarf gets to speak, read and write Common and Dwarvish, and Dwarvish is full of hard consonants and glittering sounds like the typical dwarf, and those characteristics spill over into whatever other language a dwarf might speak. So some other classes and also archetypes for classes will allow you to take other languages, so you can actually stack on top of your Common and Dwarvish. And also, whenever you choose the dwarf, there's 2 other subraces that you can add on top of being just a plain dwarf. In D&D 5e, there is the hill dwarf and there is a mountain dwarf. So you can see here the hill dwarf. And as a hill dwarf, you have keen senses, deep intuition, and remarkable resilience. The gold dwarves of Faerun and their mighty southern kingdom are hill dwarves, as are the exiled Nidar and the debased Klar of Kryn in the Dragonlance setting. So these are going to give you a couple more perks that are going to stack on top of everything else that you already get for being a dwarf. So when you choose hill dwarf, you'll get to add another point of wisdom onto the other constitution score that you're going to get +2. So whenever you go hill dwarf, +2 con, +1 wisdom. Great choice for like a cleric or a druid. You're also going to get, as a hill dwarf, you're going to get dwarven toughness. This is where your hit point maximum increases by 1, and it increases by 1 every time you gain a level. Straightforward. There's 20 levels in D&D 5e, so hill dwarf an extra 20 hit points. So there you go, everybody. That is the dwarf. Don't forget to add in your hill dwarf proficiencies on top of the dwarf traits. Secondly, the other dwarf that you're going to have to choose from is the mountain dwarf. Now, this is the same baseline traits we've already gone over. Now, the mountain dwarf is a mountain dwarf. You're strong and hardy, accustomed to a difficult life in rugged terrain. You're probably on the tall side for a dwarf and tend toward lighter coloration. The shield dwarves of northern Faerun, as well as the ruling Hylar clan and noble Dewar clan of Dragonlance, are mountain dwarves. Now, you're going to get to add a strength score of +2 on top of the con score of +2. So you're literally gaining 4 points instead of like 3 as the hill dwarf. So this would be good for like a berserker, for a fighter, or hey, any class that you want. It's up to you to choose the race and the subrace that you want. And the last thing, you're going to get dwarven armor training. And this means that you're going to have proficiency with light and medium armor. So if you're playing like a caster and you want to go mountain dwarf, guess what? You're going to get another +2 strength, and you're going to be proficient with light and medium armor. So those, like I said, those race features stack on everything else that you get as a dwarf. So there you go, everybody. Hope this helps you out. Hope it helps you determine if you want to play a dwarf or not. Check out page 18 of the Player's Handbook. There's a lot of other lore information. One last thing. There is the Duel Gar that is mentioned in the Player's Handbook. Now, I pulled out the Duel Gar from the Monster Manual. Now, as you can see here, the Duel Gar, you can build your own Duel Gar subrace. And all you would have to do is basically see that, you know, they get a bonus in strength and they get a bonus in con. So, you know, the dwarf already, as you can see, they get the con score. Maybe if you want to play a Duel Gar, you can give them the strength bonus for the stat. And also, they get the same dwarven resilience. You're going to have to give them sunlight sensibility because the Duel Gar is from the Underdark. So if you do go with a Duel Gar, your DM, you guys can get together and do that. And you can also, you're going to have to take the sunlight sensitivity. And this is the same thing as the Drow has. And I'm sure when the Deep Gnome comes out, once the Prince of Apocalypse comes out next month, I'm sure they'll have sunlight sensibility as well, sensitivity. Usually all of the Underdark races will have sunlight sensitivity, and that's where you have disadvantage on any attack rolls, as well as wisdom perception checks that rely on sight. So, but that's only in sunlight. So if you're an evil party up top, Duel Gar, you won't, at night you won't have that disadvantage. Now, another cool thing that you could probably do is you could choose this enlarge action or the invisibility action, but hey, that's just up to what your dungeon master wants to incorporate if you want to play a Duel Gar. So I just wanted to show you this because it does in the player's handbook mention the Duel Gar, and I don't think that the Duel Gar is coming out in the Prince of the Apocalypse. So if you wanted to, you could. This is the stat block out of the monster manual. I cut it out, made it a file, and put it in here for you to see. So just give the Duel Gar like +2 to strength. Make sure he has sunlight sensitivity to make it in line with the other Underdark races like the Drow and the Deep Gnome. And, give it like enlarge or invisibility. Maybe the DM will let you choose one of the two, or he'll choose one for you. So, there you go. Another option for you to play another subrace of Duel Gar. There you go, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you want to try any character, I have 840 character sheets on my website, tabletopping.net. There will be a link down below for that. Thank you guys so much again, and I'll see you next time.